Welcome to another episode of Chai Log Chai Kahenge. Today we want to explore the options of before creating employment, there is always a need to feed the people. You cannot expect hungry people to go and work for themselves, upgrade their workforce, or think about betterment in their life. So on that aspect also Karmasarathi wishes to work on so that our workforce dreams and those goals are achieved faster. So we've been thinking upon these lines since quite number of years, and since past 2 to 3 years we've been doing multiple number of food donation programs and campaigns, this hunger drives. We've been doing all of that. But right now we want to officially associate that donation campaigns and programs with Karmasarathi NGO where it is working with workforce development. So how are we doing that integration, collaboration, and where do you see this going?
We have as we have come up with this new campaign which is India Burps. So it is all about making sure that every and each person out there is not suffering out of hunger. So it's just an very to the ground you can say, like just that basic nutrition that somebody needs that should be available to them in the least of the least price. So that is the basic concept, and then you have this stalls which we basically call them the stalls or the spots around the cities where it is accessible for. It shouldn't be like such a thing that somebody has to travel 10 kilometers just to have that one meal. It's nowhere a point. It should be there everywhere so that it's very accessible to them, and that in daily basis the food shouldn't be the thing that shouldn't be counted as a problem one day, because when your concentration is so much there onto how I'm supposed to have my today's meal, you forget to upgrade yourself. We forget to do many other important aspects that are necessary for basic human, so that they fit into the social standards that we're having. We are we are upgrading every day as a nation. We are growing every day. So we want the workforce of our nation also to be upgraded every day. And when such a huge percentage of our workforce is just sitting back and worrying, how am I supposed to get our meals this time? That entire idea of getting better is eliminated altogether. So by having the meals just available to them in the least of the least price, and with the most nutrition that a body needs to be efficient enough, it I think it just boosts up the productivity of any workforce out there.
Right. One particular thing that you spoke about is the distance. So for that distance itself, we are trying to come up with covering as many areas as possible. In fact, all the areas. And we are starting this with Hyderabad city, where this
Right.
Karmasarathi headquarters is located in. So we are thinking that there are 6 zones Hyderabad is in, and each zone together will have a couple of circles. Total, I think the 30 circles, 28 to 30. And within each circle, there are a couple of wards, and within each ward, there are a couple of colonies that are segregated into. So, initially, my idea was to go to each colony, but then I thought that's not a very good idea, because if it's each colony, then the segregation and the micromanagement and the amount of people that might be in a colony, that might not work really well. So, we came up with having one center in each ward. So there are somewhere around 130 to 140 wards that we have all over Hyderabad. So we are planning, we've started with a couple of wards right now, and we're working towards that this week, this very week itself. And we'll be working towards covering up all the wards by the end of 2020. That's one of the goals that we've had. I think
Yeah.
we'll achieve it.
Way
And
faster, I guess.
yes, so that's where we want this to be as accessible as possible. That in every ward, that means in every colony, somebody knows that in the nearest place within this ward, I have this place where I can go and if let's say somebody is even just they starting a bad day and they just want to go and just have something and just not think about hunger and then work towards something, study. Students can also come there, and just many people can't afford it, poor people. Child labor will also go down because many parents will be like, we just want that meal, that's why we're not sending them to the schools. In many ways, I think this will be extremely helpful if it is accessible. So we right now covered the accessibility factor, the
Right.
distance and all that. So next comes the pricing. So like I want to bring it down to as less as possible. The minimum I can bring down is one. Of course, I can still bring it down much further, but my financial departments and the technical departments don't allow me to do that.
Like
For
if the
various
donations are there, definitely we can go to
for
50 paisa meals also.
right. So their reasons are also very reasonable. So right now, though, I cannot go much lower than that. And that's where your donations also will be very helpful if at all, more helping hands are there. Donation does not need to be. The very first drive also that I had in Hyderabad, there was not the money donation, it was rice donation.
Right.
Donation of raw material is something that I would appreciate much more because they feel very good that my money, instead of giving money, that actually my things are directly going to them. So raw materials donations are much more useful. Like you want to donate chairs, you want to donate umbrellas, you want to donate like the stands, the stalls, any old bicycles that you have instead of throwing it off. You can.
Everything will be coming into the picture where somebody
There
will
are
be
some
benefiting.
plates you can have, the utensils, the old cylinders. So these kind of donations are much appreciated than the monetary donations also. So the donation part is this, and donations also we're coming up. We'll do a special episode on how donations, what kind of donations are available,
Right, I
how
think
we
the
are
donation
accepting and
part
all
is
that.
like way huge of a factor
Right, so we'll be
currently.
covering it up in the series of this India Burps.
Right.
And so that's the distance aspect, and that's the money aspect, and the donation aspect. So, what all are we offering? Like, we came up with a menu.
Right.
So, what's your opinion on that?
I'll give you the honor of saying what the menu consists of. But I'll just add this point that menu is something that the menu I because we have gone through the menu, right? But then it consists of everything that anybody out there will require to have that energy to go out there and just work. It just like it's a huge factor where. You see, right? We every one of us experiences that thing. Like we go out and suddenly a stranger approaches, like, I have not eaten for the last
Right.
2 days, 3 days, and even though like we see so many. Like we think like we many people just go out into these food courts and places and like we'll be spending 500,000. That's the least I'm talking about. But these people out there, like the real hunger you experience and you see that in the eyes of those, like when they are just out there and you try to do as much as possible. Maybe a platter of meal would help them. So this is where it actually comes where like nobody gets to that stage where the hunger is actually making them go so below. So it has to be like, so it is that kind of a menu which supports, like I would say very fancy that it has a dessert, it has a starter,
Right.
it has something to munch on. So it's a very good menu actually. So why don't you say?
I'll definitely do a much more detailed video
Why it
later
is
on in the
necessary?
series. Where, in brief, if I have to say, we came up with a very unique meal where we're not trying to beat our competitors by
Definitely.
um, because when we're trying to do a food drive like this, many times the local economy gets a hit. So instead of doing that, we came up with something that usually regularly are not available outside. And also these things are such nutrition that these are not sold in commercial markets and stalls and centers. So we brought these very basic Indian ancient food recipes where it gives that nutrition which is necessary for children
Which
and
is
the
the
poor.
core. Yeah.
Yeah, and the protein that is necessary for them and the energy that is necessary for them, and it fills the stomach in that basic 1 rupee. So it's all entire like how $1.99 and $1 shops are there
One rupee is
available.
the
So
new trend.
everything is 1 rupee. So it's very challenging that we're trying our best to, if not have margins and profits, to at least have that break even, not get into losses. Yeah, initially a lot of loss will be there, but that's a cost that we're willing to take. So we're trying to bring it down as much as possible that we can do with your
And
help.
like for the record, we're actually not trying to have any profits out there. So you can understand with 1 rupee, you cannot actually have any profits.
Right. No, I think with more donations and more help coming in, with being a little smarter, I think we should make profit. But that profit I want to make because with that profit, we can open up more centers and not wait for donations to open up a center. If we are making some, a couple of thousands from one center in next 2 3 months, you have the break-even point. Immediately, a next center can open. So it's like a nice circle that is going roundabout. But later, when all of these things work, we can put in more skill development and everything is going back into the pocket itself. But in a smart way. I think profit should be there because with that, it's a good way of making profit and recycling it in the same circle itself. So that's where the menu, most of these things are the ones that we think are very cheap and very cheaply available. Back at our houses also we make it. All that kind of menu we brought in under 1 rupee. So that health is also there, hunger is also gone at the same time. It's very unique also. People will actually look at it as a very unique. It's one of the unique stalls.
What I feel like in 1 rupees, when you offer such a wide range of menu, it is surprising. So definitely when somebody is coming, it's like it is that hub where families also can come in and have a very good lunch or a dinner or even a
Couple of
yeah,
friends can
breakfast.
come,
Yes.
and maybe poor children can actually come there and have their birthday parties over there. We should actually arrange, poor people, poor kids, whoever will be there. For them, actually, we should start arranging birthday parties. This is an idea I just hit me right now. Why don't we do that?
We can certainly do that. We can
We
introduce
can
like
actually arrange marriages also and catering. And why don't we come up with this thing that Karmasarathi marriages and birthday celebrations are there within these areas, and we do this like 1 rupee catering. Why don't we do that?
that is
It's really
actually
nice.
yes, that can be done.
Hmm.
And since we are so much focused on skill development, because India Burps is actually an extension of skill development itself, because we are doing this very specifically so that our countrymen or they don't get into that fact we have to earn to eat. It should be more about their entire idea of eating, because if we spend a lot on food. Anybody spends a lot of food on the food resources, maintaining the gas and everything comes in the huge picture. So when somebody is just out there and not worrying only about what I'm supposed to eat kind of thing, that time you start focusing on your profession. You get more you get more professional, you get much more skill, you get much more sharpened. So with that itself, we will be bringing up the skill development also right next to.
Right, over there itself, the counter we have skill development registrations going on one side, and also hand in hand training also going on.
And so while you're eating,
Counseling, job counseling is going on, education counseling is going on. While eating itself,
yes,
the people who serve itself will start having a conversation with them.
very true. Like we
It's
all
the
watch,
entire
yes,
ambience altogether.
we all watch like this televisions while eating. We all we are on our phones and all. Why can't we just while eating do something which is really brings a change? You're
Right.
talking about what job you're gonna get, and also for the basic idea of what is this entire job thing that we're doing. So we recently have gone on to a little bit of a research section into the underground, you can say, where we discovered that there is not any community built for workforce. There is no community, we discovered
That is
that
right.
people will be just randomly going out or sleeping on the streets, and they'll be finding can I just get a job? They'll be walking shop to shop or places. So this will be that station altogether where anybody looking for a job can come in, and
True.
and then our volunteers and we ourselves will be making sure that they get the job. So this is that.
I think we should do a full-fledged video on that, where
Yes.
we're talking why we actually came up with this rate and workforce, the beginnings of it.
Right.
I think we should do a very
Elaborate.
detailed
Yeah.
one. And I get asked this very often, since I think this is a very appropriate video to actually me myself explain what India Burps is all about, how it actually began. So the very reason for naming this drive as India Burps is that a burp is when you have a full-fledged meal. If the body burps when it feels like full. So if India should burp, that means each and every person, human being, every person, or maybe even the other living beings also, doesn't matter. Everybody's hunger is gone. Only then they can focus on the next development. So every citizen in India, only when that entire every citizen of India's stomach is filled, the country itself can burp.
Right.
So our aim is to fill every of their stomach. As long as we're doing only couple of cities, still India is not going to burp.
Right.
So that's where that India Burps name came up with, and that's the drive.
Like
So,
every small, big city,
because many
everywhere.
people keep asking, like, what
Right.
does that India Burp mean? So I thought maybe this is very appropriate.
And it
to
is
explain.
not at all a surprise. We all are known to the fact that in our country itself, we'll not go to any other countries. In our country itself, there are so many people every day sleeping hungry. Like you
Not
go.
sleep hungry, people are dying hungry.
That is very true. Like when we talk, let's talk about Bombay, the hub of everything that it's being. So there, it's the biggest slum. So that itself gives us a lot of
With
closure.
Halloween.
Right. So that's where we have a lot of closure on how things are actually. So many people going there. It's a huge mass actually when we think about people not being able to eat properly. So
Right. So that's the origin of how India Burps came into the picture.
right.
Even before skill development, India Burps was a campaign that was driven first.
In something 2000 something.
I think in the past 10 years, on and off, it was
Right.
going on. Right now, only I made it into a full-fledged platform.
Right.
So this is where even burning plates also will be a part of it, where it will be one of the main CSR activities of burning plates is associated with Karmasarathi. So we'll come up with more videos with all the topics, subtopics. There are all
Right.
subtopics that we had. So under that we'll have a multiple series going on. So whichever you want to check out in the series, and wherever you think you can contribute, you can always check out that information, and and the contribution, how to be a part of it, all that is, or all that information will be available in the description itself.
Right, I know that the contribution is actually a huge topic, so I think we have to work on that video.
We'll get back with another video.